What's up, guys? Welcome to your 115th Android tutorial where we're going to set up a few methods for a class, and we're also going to set up this on upgrade method, because again, if our database has already been created, it's going to call this on upgrade method instead of our on create. And basically all this method's going to do is, if the table exists, we're going to drop it and then we're going to call the on create method. So again, we're getting passed in a database, a SQLite database, so we're just going to say db.execute SQL again, and we're going to use the command, pretty simple command called drop table if exists space end quotations, and then we're going to give it our table name, which we called database underscore table. So if our table name exists, it's going to drop it, and then all we have to do is call our onCreate method. So we're going to say onCreate, and we're going to pass in our database. So that's basically going to, upgrade our database. So there we go. Now what we want to do is we want to have this hot or not class have some methods. So when we use it within our SQLite example class, we can just call those methods and it's going to execute everything within this class. So the first method we want to have is we want to be able to open our database so we can write to it, and then we're going to have a close method that will just close our database. And basically we're going to reference, just so you guys know which variables we're using, we set up this database helper type variable called rHelper, which again is just this class here. So we're going to reference that. We're going to give it the context that's being passed in, which we set up here in our constructor. So those are the two variables that we're going to use to open, just to let you guys know. So let's get into it. We're going to say public, and then we're going to say our class name, which was called hot or not, and we're going to say open. Alright, so we created our open method, and then we're just going to hit enter, and it's giving us an error because we need a return statement of some sort. So what we're going to do now is set up our database variable that we created, again public or private up here, to equal something. So we're going to say rHelper, and we're going to set this equal to new DB or database helper. And we need to give it something within its parameters. Again, as you can see here, our constructor for our database helper class takes in a context. So we're going to give it the context right here called rContext that we set up within our constructor for our class. So we're just going to say rContext. And then finish our statement. That's going to again pass in just our information here, get everything set up with our database name, the version, so it's just going to get everything set up for the most part. Now what we also want to do is we want to set up this variable called our database, which again is SQLite database type. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say our database is equal to basically our helper that we just set up. So we're going to say our helper dot get, and you can see we can either get readable or get writable. So we could have set, instead of open, we could say write or something like that, more specific method. But we're just going to say get writable, because if we can write to it, we can also, for the most part, read it as well. So basically, just kind of overview what we've done. We have this helper from our database helper class. It's just going to give it a new instance of that object, passing in the context of whatever is being passed into our hot or not class. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up our database and we're just going to get the writable database. So it's going to basically open up our database through our helper. And then all we have to do is we're going to give it a return statement of this. So that's basically it for this tutorial.